Yes. We are going to discuss something that I think is often overlooked. I've talked about it before a little bit, but we're going to deep dive a little bit more into being on your toes and being ready for change as a musician. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ryan Fluff Bruce, and I just got back from a month-long tour in the UK and Europe. My band Dragged Under left the United States for the first time, and we played some incredible shows, and we met some incredible people along the way. And we also faced a bunch of challenges, which I think is the kind of thing that not necessarily it happening to you, but how you deal with those challenges. It's what is going to determine, how you continue on as both an individual musician and as a band. And we're gonna talk about that in this video. So I've never been over to the United Kingdom. I've never been over to Europe before. The only place I've ever gone to is Japan. And so getting to go to, places that you've thought about as a kid based on your music and on the back of your music is a pretty incredible thing as a musician. And all of us felt that way. It was really just such an honor to get to go over there and, play festivals like Download and Hellfest and Vainstream and all those things. And your first time anywhere is always going to be met with some last minute challenges. And I'm going to give you, I think 4 or 5 various examples of these challenges that we faced on this tour. So let's start from the beginning. When you book a flight, you plan hotels, you plan all of these things logistically. One thing is based on the other, and we booked our plane tickets back in January. There's been European war breaking out. There's been, and as a result, fuel issues and flight cancellations and all sorts of things relating to travel. And our flights that were initially booked to go over to the UK were canceled and moved several times over the course of a couple of months leading up to actually going over there. Basically, what this meant was instead of getting there at 2 p.m, for a nice leisurely hotel check-in, our flights got moved around and our seats got moved around, and we ended up arriving in the UK at about 6 a.m. local time, and that was tough. It became really tough when we arrived and we showed customs our work visa, and we were promptly told, "Oh, your visa's expired. It expired a couple of days ago," which I had no way of knowing because I simply had the document saying that I had the visas, and then customs then goes into their system and looks up the actual nitty-gritty details of that visa. Well, there was a clerical error, and the visa expired basically a month too early. So we instantly, after a 10-hour plane trip, arriving at 6 a.m, we have to sit in customs holding for about 3 hours while I frantically try to get a hold of someone and wake someone up that early in the morning in the UK to revise our work visa, which was not fun. Now, we kept our cool. We totally kept our cool this whole time because you know what? If this is the worst thing that happens on this trip, all good. We played Download with Iron Maiden in a couple of days. We're going to be just fine. Well, at the end of that 3 hours, we get out of the holding cell that is customs, hang on, you have to wait here area. We get out to go collect our bags. Now, by this time, many hours have passed, and we know they're probably sitting somewhere remote, or they've been set aside off the conveyor belt, or what have you. We get to the baggage claim area, and we don't see any of our guitars. We don't see any of our in-ear systems. We don't see any of our hand cases. We don't see anything except our actual luggage that wasn't checked as an oversized bag. And British Airways left them in Seattle. That's that's the best way I can just even explain it to you. Coming out of customs after being held in there for 3 hours, we go to get our bags, and our guitars and our in-ear system and all of our gear was left in Seattle. And we're playing with Iron Maiden in 2 days. So the only reason that I even knew they were in Seattle is because I have Apple AirTags. I have trackers in everything for our band, and I know exactly where everything is at any given time. And I simply was able to bring up on my phone and show British Airways, hey, all of our stuff is still in Seattle, to which, it's the local clerk was like, oh my, this is horrible. And to which I replied, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's real bad. So a series of phone calls happens, a series of people and documents are filled out, and we have no choice but to go to our hotel for tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's show, Milton Keynes, ends up being an acoustic show with our bassist Hans and our vocalist Tony, while I had to go to Heathrow to try to recover our stuff. Now, we had a day off in between the first show and the day we landed. So basically 2 days had passed. They finally tell us, okay, we think some of the bags are going to arrive. You should come to the airport and pick them up if you want them sooner than a week from now, which of course we did. So I had to go to Heathrow, and I had to argue and fight and basically fight my way out of there with my stuff and some of my stuff. I was able to recover the in-ear system. I was able to recover my guitars. Sean's guitars were lost for a couple of more days, at which point the next day after this, we are playing Download Fest to tens of thousands of people. And I was pretty nervous. What this means is basically we get the gear super late the night before we're supposed to play Download. We have no rehearsal day that we had originally planned because that was eaten up by nothing because we didn't have any gear to rehearse. So basically we have to use our rented Helixes and our rented gear with our in-ear systems with no line check, no nothing. We have to basically toss it up on stage and go. And that's exactly what we did. And we just had to kind of roll with the punches. We have a click track in our ears. All we could basically hear was the click. We couldn't hear each other at all because all of the volumes were just all over the place. We played the show not knowing how we played. Apparently we played all right. And we had no idea how we were doing while we were doing it. But again, the show must go on. So we played Download without hearing anybody or anything, even ourselves. So Download happens, we play Download, we all rejoice, yes, let's go out to dinner, we celebrate, and the next day, I start having some really unfamiliar, extremely intense pain in my tooth area on my back lower tooth, my molar, that I've never had before. It goes away after about 30 minutes, and I think, that's alarming. Well, by the time we get around to waking up the following day, now we are in day 4, show number 3. I am having intense, excruciating pain in my tooth, and I don't know what it is. We arrived to the venue. This is in Leeds. This is in Leeds, England. We arrived to the venue. And I need to find a dentist. I find a dentist. I take an Uber there. And by this time, we've sound checked and we have maybe 5 hours until we actually play. I'm at this dentist at Leeds called Night and Day Dentistry, I think, or Dental, Night and Day Dental. And I tell them, hey, I'm a tour musician. I have no insurance. I need to just pay whatever needs to happen. I need to get in right now. So they tell me to come on in. They get me in. I have an abscess in my tooth. It's not a cavity. I have a bacterial infection that has traveled down the root and kind of posted up at the bottom of my tooth. And I need a root canal right away. I have a show in 5 hours. So I tell them, okay, well, how much is it? And, being from America, I'm expecting, a root canal with insurance in the States is, $2,500, $3,000, depending on how invasive the procedure is. He goes, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be like 500 pounds and like 30 minutes. I need 30 minutes. And I say, here's my debit card, get to work. And so basically I get a root canal right before our show in Leeds. I get it done. I get into the Uber, at which point we're supposed to go on in 15 minutes. We are 15 minutes from the venue. I tell the Uber driver, I will tip you 100% of whatever the bill is if you can get me there before showtime. And he does. And we were slaloming through like the car chase scene out of Ronin, power shifting through Leeds to the venue. I burst through the venue door. My bandmates have my show clothes ready for me. I put them on and I play the show completely numb and on all sorts of meds from just having a root canal about 40 minutes before that. Got to roll with the punches, I guess. Now, this was show 4, day 4, I'm not really sure, something like that. And by this time, it's like, okay, what else is gonna happen? No, everything else basically goes pretty smooth from then on out. However, we do end up canceling a show, 5 shows into it, because Tony had lost his voice. We were all kind of getting sick, and we had Brixton the next day. The show that was canceled the morning of the day of the show, that morning, well, a few hours later, that venue caught fire anyway. So the show wouldn't have happened, regardless. Which is super weird to me, and I actually think about that quite often. Like, that venue, it didn't burn down, but it did. There was a huge fire at the venue that we were supposed to play out when that fire was breaking out. That weirds me out. I don't know. Anyway, what is the point of me telling you all of this? If you are lucky enough to go out and play music live with people, with bandmates, and for people to come and see you, change is inevitable at all levels, whether that's using someone else's instrument because your airline forgot your guitars, whether that's having to get a root canal and then play the show, 30 minutes later. Change is inevitable. And as a musician, it is paramount that you learn to roll with the punches, adapt, and overcome in any situation, especially when you're on tour, but not even necessarily when you are on tour, or if you are, or if you can be on tour. Our ability to roll with the punches and stick and move and just kind of to pivot is, I think, why my band is still around. Because we got signed at the very beginning of COVID and we're still around and we're still persevering. But I was just thinking this whole time, like, what else could possibly go wrong? Oh, I need a root canal? Oh, great. That's just fantastic. I've always wanted to play guitar and scream into a mic, not being able to feel half my face. That's great. That's really great. But I did it, and I'm glad I did it. I probably shouldn't have done it now that I kind of think about it. But hey, you know what? Painkillers and 2 different types of meds and antibiotics. It's fine. Never hurt anybody, right? That's it for today's story. I just thought I would kind of relay all of this information to you guys. Change will always happen. Be okay with it and move on, and you will be just fine. Bluff out.